My name is Debbie Risper. I oversee community engagement. I have an awesome team, dedicated representatives for each district in Baltimore County. Our aim is to connect and strengthen the ties in our communities. Your response to the census is vital to Baltimore County. We need your help in making sure everyone in our community is counted. Over the past 20 years, Baltimore County's population has grown. For us to have access for the needed resources to support the growth, every person must be counted. Did you know? The census helps to shape many different aspects of our communities. Census data is used to support community initiatives involving legislation, quality of life, and constituent advocacy. Census results help to determine how billions of dollars in federal funding flow into our state and our communities. Local government official, that is our county executive and our county council members, use the census data to ensure public safety and plan new school construction and school maintenance. Real estate investors and county planners use the census to plan new homes, new communities, and revitalize old communities. The business sector uses the census to determine where to build factories, offices, and retail stores that create jobs in our communities. Why a complete count is vital for Baltimore County. Why does it matter? It matters because it helps shape Baltimore County. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. And for those who may have missed, that was Debbie Risper, our Director of Community Engagement. And now we would like to pass the baton to MM Udo, who is our Baltimore County 2020 Census Outreach Coordinator.
Thank you, Savitra. I want to thank everyone for being here today. And I want to, first of all, recognize my team, Jay, Sarah, and Jackie, for doing an amazing job. I also want to recognize the Baltimore County Department of Planning and the Office for Community Engagement for helping put together this meeting. In light of everything that's been happening, we have been doing a few things to ensure that Baltimore County has a complete count in the 2020 census. The first thing is we have been providing our census handbills to food distribution centers in the county, those run by the county and those run by nonprofits, because we know that many people are frequenting these places right now for obvious reasons. We have also been distributing our census handbills to grocery stores as well in selected areas. We also know that members in the How to Count community have unfortunately been experiencing food insecurity in this moment. So we're using that as a platform to reach a lot of people. We have also been able to identify census tracts that are not responding. They fall into districts. And we know that District 1, 2, 4, 5, and 7 and not responding as well as they should. So myself and the team have been reaching out to our partners in these districts to ensure that they are helping to pass along, share the census message on their social media platforms and that of their organizations. Also to ensure that there's some kind of census message in their weekly newsletters and bulletins. We have also strategically put census ads in local newspapers. We know that in many communities, local newspapers are considered trusted voices. We know we have using the Northwest Voice, the Chronicle, Peak, the Latin Opinion, the Dundalk Eagle, and the Baltimore Sun. Recently, we had an article in the Baltimore Sun in English and in Spanish. We're using digital ads on Facebook, Instagram to ensure that the tech savvy and the younger population are not left untouched. We have been working closely with Baltimore City As many of you know, many individuals who work in Baltimore City actually reside in Baltimore County and vice versa. So we have been sharing outreach strategy and best practices with Baltimore City, and I have been having bi-weekly phone conversations with my counterpart in Baltimore City. So to ensure that we're coming up with constructive ways to increase our response rate. I would also like to use this unique opportunity to stress the importance of census data. Census data is crucial to ensure that we have funding for hospital beds, emergency services, and medical facilities. As many of us know, Baltimore County has, unfortunately, one of the highest infection rates of COVID-19 in the state. So we cannot afford to lose a single dollar when it comes to funding of this important medical and emergency services. Also know that at some point, there's going to be a recovery from this pandemic, and that recovery is going to be data driven. And that's where census data becomes very crucial. We know that vaccines are going to be made available at some point, and any public health expert will tell you that in order to accurately administer vaccines, you need to know how many people live in a neighborhood, how many people live in a community, how many people live in a district, and how many people live in a county. And the only way you can have an accurate understanding of the number of people is through census data. So I like to tell people that census data is more important today than it was 4 months ago. And this is the message that we are taking out to members in the community, and we encourage everyone to be able, to tie the census to the current situation we're all facing right now, because it has obviously changed our lives and it has affected everyone. So I want to add one last thing. We have put together census commercial video, which we're going to see in a few minutes. So this video was made by community leaders. And we were thinking that if people will respond rather when they hear and see people who look like them. So that was why we put together this commercial video you're going to see in a few minutes. And we are going to share it with everyone. And we encourage you to distribute it on your social media platforms and with members in the community. So once again, thank you all for participating and for all the hard work you've put into this. Thank you.
Thank you, MM. Now I would like to welcome John Watson, who is with the Maryland Department of Planning as the Census Outreach Coordinator.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Savitra, MM, thanks for inviting me to join the virtual call. Just keep my comments brief, but I just wanted to first thank everybody on the call, everybody in Baltimore County for all of your efforts so far in ensuring that we have an accurate and complete count throughout the county. MM did a nice job explaining, particularly in the environment in which we're living in right now, why the census data is even more important than ever during these times. Just real quick, we had a state CCC meeting virtually a couple weeks back, maybe 3 weeks back now, end of April. And we really just got everybody together to really retouch base with all the counties and kind of just talk a little bit about what the state of Maryland's doing in conjunction with working with the U.S. Census Bureau, different ways that we can still do outreach into the communities that we can self-respond now for the census. First, we obviously before COVID, we had a big marketing strategy plan that had TV and radio and billboards and bus wraps and train wraps. And all that stuff obviously still did happen. The TV, digital probably played a more vital role than we even originally had thought because of the lack of mobility and a lot of people not on the roads and taking public transportation. So we probably didn't get the bang for our buck, so to speak, on maybe the bus wraps and train wraps as much, or the billboards as much as we wanted to. But the digital platform, the TV and the radio spots, obviously very important, very crucial in making sure that we're continuing to get the awareness out into the community. And then similar to what you guys are doing, we're doing a very large social media presence on our Facebook, on our Twitter handle, because that is a way in an environment in which you can't really go out a lot or go and interact with people. That is a way that we can definitely get messaging out. In addition to that, the state of Maryland has a lot of different state agencies, and we have an application called Granicus where we actually can tap into that database. And even if you have say, a fisherman who follows the Department of Natural Resources on their Facebook page, we can all share our data together and get that outreach to all the different state agencies and all the people that follow those pages throughout the state, which can reach upwards of over 100,000 people. So that's really good. The grant funding process, obviously we all planned parties and we all wanted to have big social gatherings, and none of those things could happen. So, we've had to kind of relook about how we can help the counties figure out how to more appropriately spend their money. And digital advertising, marketing, radio, TV, newspaper, printing of materials at food distribution sites like talked about, those are all great ways to do outreach. And just so you guys also know, the grant has been extended to July 31st. So that does give all the counties a little bit more time. And I think a survey had gone out to all the counties a couple of weeks back just to kind of get a touch base of where everybody was at with what they had, what they hadn't spent, and so on and so forth. In addition to the food pantries, the school partnership is a great one to do. I've been kind of spearheading throughout the state, working with the complete count committees and the local school systems to see if we can get a simple half-page flyer, English on the front and Spanish on the back, at the food distribution sites. This flyer also promotes the website as well as the telephone number. I think one thing we maybe don't talk enough about is the telephone number option, particularly for those communities that maybe don't have the means to have technology, or maybe they're in low connectivity areas, which could be possibly, I guess, maybe an opportunity, maybe in some of the northern parts of Baltimore County. So anyway, the phone number is really important as well for people to self-respond. So this simple half-page flyer, we've been working with getting these put into all the different meal bags that are going to the families throughout the state as another great way to get some community outreach going. And then the final thing that we're doing, our data team, we have a great data team at the state of Maryland, and they're working on doing some customized reports using the Census Bureau data from their response rate mapper, but we're also doing our own customized chart. And we're doing a weekly bottom 5 lowest response tracks in each county, opportunity tracks. And they send those to me, and then I send those out to the chairs of the counties. That's just another way to kind of look at the data. And the good thing about our map is that there's a hyperlink, and you can actually take the track down to street view. So you can see where a local church is, a local business, see literally down to like intersections of where some outreach possibilities could happen on a challenging track. But with that, that's really kind of just quick high level of what we're doing at the state, and working in conjunction with you guys. I've worked with in the past. He's a great partner for you guys. Appreciate all his energy and efforts that's going into it. Savitra, thank you. Thanks to everybody on the committee. Please reach out if you need anything. The phone call, email away, and I just appreciate everybody's energy and effort into this, and we'll make sure that Baltimore County has a great and accurate complete count.
Awesome. Thank you, John. And thank you to all of our state and federal partners to ensuring that we do indeed capture every resident who resides in Baltimore County. I would like for us to take a moment to just reflect on what is the decennial census? Why is it important? You've heard about the money, you've heard about the program, but I want to share a brief video that the U.S. Census Bureau has put together. A short 3-minute time frame conveys the importance of the census.
Beginning in March, the U.S. Census Bureau will invite households across the country to participate in the 2020 census. But what is the census? Simply put, the census is a head count of every person living in the United States. To be sure the government represents the people, the U.S. Constitution requires a population count every 10 years. Ever since 1790, the census has determined the number of seats each state receives in the U.S. House of Representatives. It is, and always has been, a cornerstone of our democracy. We still use it to determine representation, but leaders also use the data to make decisions. Your response helps guide planning for the future of our communities. The 2020 census will help inform decisions on how billions of dollars are allocated annually for critical public services like roads, schools, hospitals, and healthcare clinics. fire and emergency response services, and hundreds of other programs. In 2020, for the first time, you'll be able to complete the census online, by phone, or by mail. It asks a few simple questions, like how many people live in your home on April 1st, including their age and sex, and if there are any children living there. You should know that by law, all census responses are completely confidential, and your personal information cannot be shared with any law enforcement agencies. Every person counts, no matter who you are or where you live. So whether your family has participated for decades or the 2020 census will be your first, we all have a role in shaping the future of our country.
Okay, awesome. So I wanted us to just take a moment to reflect on why the census is important. As everyone has seen, there is an abundance of historical measures that's associated with it. So as we just heard, the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 2, mandates that the census provide data for the apportionment of representatives among the states for the House of Representatives every 10 years, and it's by law. The U.S. Census Bureau must deliver a report of population to the U.S. President every 10 years, hence the decennial census. Very important to note is that the census is confidential, and it's confidential by law. The Census Bureau is required to keep information by Title 13 of the U.S. Code. The Census Bureau will never share a respondent's personal information with government agencies. When we think about the unprecedented times that we live in, as far as fear for individuals being detained and returned to other countries, it's important to note that the census will not share that information with ICE or any other federal agency. The results from the census are reported in statistical summary format. Records are confidential for 72 years. So again, the information that's collected will not be shared immediately. 72 years later is when the information will be made available to the public. You may wonder, well, why is that? Well, when we think about programs and initiatives such as wanting to learn one's heritage, census data is utilized. When we're trying to understand our history, where we were, where we've come from, census data is utilized. It's the primary source. All Census Bureau employees swear a lifetime oath to protect respondent information. And there's a penalty, it's a hefty one, of $250,000. One thing that we've already covered is that our population is increasing. Our population specifically in Baltimore County. We see the trend. And in our growing community, our growing aging community, because 25% of all county residents are slated to be age 60 and older, we want to make sure that we have the correct infrastructure in place so that our community and our residents continue to age and thrive comfortably in place. Why it matters, and you've heard this, $1,800 per person for every baby, every small child, every adult who goes uncounted. Historically, our undercounted groups or populations are our children, those who are under age 5, our newborns. Every child, every person, no matter who you are, should be counted. Everyone truly counts. Veterans, those who are in age groups 18 to 24, those are our younger populations. This is our intent to indicate and to emphasize the importance of the census. I know when I was 18 and 24 years old, I didn't understand the importance of the census. That's why we're taking initiatives such as this to engage every resident, every neighbor, every partner, every friend to communicate and articulate the importance of the 2020 census so that we can ensure we have a promising future. Those who speak English as a secondary language, immigrants, persons with a disability, and our seniors. We just learned that 25% of our population is slated to be age 60 years of age and older. Taking a look back, in 2000, the self-response trend was 80% in Baltimore County. It then dropped in 2010. In 2020, we expect to create a new norm, 92%. We often, this time around, take a look at our response rate for the county. The U.S. Census Bureau has put together this tracking to be utilized nationwide. As you can see, Baltimore County has a self-response rate of 64.6%. We're ahead of the state, which is at 62.5%. However, we have much more work to do to ensure that we reach our 92% goal. What you see before you is a graph. It illustrates where we were in our completion, our self-completion in 2000, and the revenue that was at risk for loss, $271 million. The same goal for 2010. What our self-completion rate and what we were at loss to lose. Again, we don't have any room for error this time around. We want to make sure that every resident, every child, every senior goes counted. Where you see the 80% in 2000, you see the 78% in 2010, and then our 92% goal for 2020 for $271 million for 2000 is what we were at risk for losing. And again, this is the self-completion trend. $318 million based on a 78% completion. We want the trend to decrease significantly for this time around.
Have you taken your census survey?
I did it a few weeks ago, and it's quick and it's easy, and it's so very important. The more of us who do it, the higher population count for Baltimore County gets reported to the federal government, and the more money that flows directly back into Baltimore County for over 50 crucial services and programs.
Census data provides critical funding for important programs like SNAP, Medicaid, children's health insurance programs, transportation projects.
It is the census data that provides the funding for all of the programs that we so need in our community. Also, it determines who's going to represent us in Congress. We know how important that is.
It provides funding for the federal student loan program, campus funding, legislation, and campus improvements.
Your census can go towards things such as business loans, which can help with community revitalization projects such as the Beller Road Streetscape. It can also go towards things such as programs for our seniors and our local senior centers. It can go towards funding our Head Start programs, and it can also go towards helping with things such as improving public safety.
Everybody counts in our community, and it's so crucial to how the federal government allocates billions of dollars that can be used to support funding more teachers, supporting the fire department, helping a neighbor with the choice between paying their rent and putting nutritious food on the table.
Are there enough facilities for people with disabilities, the elderly, or our children? You really must participate and complete the census so that we receive every federal or state dollar that we deserve.
Le recensement est très important pour notre communauté francophone de la diaspora parce qu'il sert à décider du montant qui sera alloué à notre communauté, à notre ville par le gouvernement fédéral chaque année.
The census determines representation in Congress, state, and local governments. An undercount will mean less federal dollars for the state and county, $1,800 per person, over $300 million in total every year for the next 10 years.
This is the importance of the 2020 census, to be able to make sure that we get an accurate count so that we can get the sufficient funding for our communities.
Es bien fácil y seguro. Pueden hacerlo a través del internet, por teléfono y por correo. Es totalmente confidencial.
Don't wait for someone to come knocking on your door. All census information is private and protected by law. Your community is counting on you.
अमेरिकामा हरेक 10 वर्षमा हुने राष्ट्रिय जनगणना अहिले चलिरहेको छ। जनगणनामा समावेश हुँदा हाम्रो सामुदायिक पहिचान पनि कायम रहन्छ।
You can fill out your census online at 2020census.gov. All census information is private and protected by law. Your neighbors, community, and family are depending on you.
You complete your census form today. It's safe, it's easy, and it's important.
Get that information and get it filled out into the federal government. Make sure you get yours done today.
Maryland is counting on you, so fill out the census today.
Do us a favor, take the census and share this video.
Okay, so many thanks for all of our community partners who participated in the development of this video. It will be made available for advertisement, for sharing on social media, via email and other platforms. Later in the week, we'll send that to all of the participants. But this is just an example of how we are indeed making every stride to ensure that we reach all residents to articulate the importance of the 2020 census. Next, I would like to welcome Ruben Amaya, who is a student at Stevenson University. He's going to be speaking with us about the importance of being counted at our colleges and universities. So now without further, and you also saw Ruben featured in the video. Thank you again, Ruben, for your time. So without further ado, Ruben Amaya.
Thank you, Savitra, and thank you all for having me participate in the Census 2020. So one of the most important things in the census, as we all know, is how much it contributes to our education for our students. And one of the things that I've noticed when speaking to my peers about the census, as Savitra mentioned, that people in my age group generally just don't know what the census is. So that's one of the greatest things is just educating peers, not just in colleges, but all throughout Baltimore County Public Schools on what the census is. And then the next question that I always get is, well, how does it benefit me? And so for colleges, it's absolutely instrumental. It determines funding for campus projects, infrastructure projects, legislation, how legislatures can allocate funds to certain campuses throughout the state of Maryland, and also in terms of federal student loans, when students are asking how can we get more ease in our student loans, the census is important in easing that. For example, Stevenson University, if students fill out the census and they get a count that it's 2,500, when in reality there's 3,500 students at Stevenson University, that's thousands of dollars that could be lost for those students. And also for public schools, as we know throughout the state of Maryland, with over 800,000 students, we know the big push to provide more infrastructure opportunities for schools that need those funds. When we misreport how many students there are in the state, but most specifically in Baltimore County with over 118,000 students, that could be thousands of dollars lost as well. And one of the greatest things, as I'm sure you all know with my age group, is we love social media. We love Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. And the cool thing about this census is it can be done online. And so it's very easy to just engage with my peers and say, hey, click this link and you can fill out the census in less than 10, 15 minutes. And we get a lot more responses that way, especially with everyone being inside due to the pandemic. So it's really great to see the youth engaged in the census, understanding what the census is and how important it is for people like me going through college and students younger than me in the public school system to get that accurate representation so that we get the funding that we need to have a quality 21st century education.
Perfect. Thank you, Ruben. You mentioned that to complete the census is very easy. We want to show you all just one more video put together by the U.S. Census Bureau that shows us how easy completing the census truly is.
The online questionnaire is available in English and 12 non-English languages. To select a language, click on the globe icon and select the name of the language, or select the name of the language at the bottom of any screen. This video will show a step-by-step demonstration. Keep watching. You will need to complete the 2020 census in one session. If you leave, you will have to start over. To begin, choose Start Questionnaire. First, enter your 12-digit census ID. If you do not have a census ID, select the link below the login button and answer some additional questions about your address. You will still be able to respond. Then, confirm that you are completing the 2020 Census questionnaire for the address shown. Select yes or no. If you will be staying at this address on April 1st, choose yes. Otherwise, choose no. The next button takes you forward, and the previous button takes you back. Do not use the forward or back buttons on your browser, or else you may need to start over. Next, enter your name and telephone number. Enter your full name. Sometimes a message may appear on the screen that asks you to check your response or enter additional information. Review what you entered before selecting the next button. Enter the number of people, including yourself, who will be living or staying at this address on April 1st, 2020. Click on the underlined blue links for help with the questions. Make sure that you count people where they usually live and sleep. If someone does not have a usual residence, count them where they will be staying on April 1st. Include babies and children of all ages, close or extended family members, people who are not related to you, and people staying here without a permanent place to live. Do not include anyone who lives away from this address most of the year, such as college students, armed forces personnel, people in a nursing home, mental hospital, jail, prison, detention center, etc., or people visiting who usually live and sleep somewhere else. These people will be counted in other ways. Then, list the name of each person living or staying at this address. To add more people, select the button labeled Add Another Person. We do not want to miss any people staying at this address on April 1st. If you forgot to include anyone who stays here, choose Yes and enter those names. Otherwise, choose No. Now you're ready for the next two questions about the home at this address. On April 1st, will the house, apartment, or mobile home at this address be owned by you or someone in this household with a mortgage or loan, including home equity loans, owned by you or someone in this household free and clear without a mortgage or loan, rented, or occupied without payment of rent? Then select the names of the owners or renters of this house, apartment, or mobile home. Next, we ask some questions about each person you listed earlier. First, we ask if the person is male or female. We also ask you to enter the month, day, and year this person was born. Make sure that the age that appears is correct as of April 1st, 2020. Next, we ask about Hispanic origin and race. Please answer both this and the next question. Select whether this person is not of Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish origin, Mexican, Mexican-American, or Chicano, Puerto Rican, Cuban, or another Hispanic, Latino, or Spanish origin. If you selected the last response, enter more details in the box below. Next, we ask about race. Select one or more checkboxes: white, black or African American, American Indian or Alaska Native, Chinese, Filipino, Asian Indian, Vietnamese, Korean, Japanese, other Asian, Native Hawaiian, Samoan, Chamorro, other Pacific Islander, or some other race. Enter detailed origins in the boxes that look like this. Additional people will also see this question: how is this person related to the reference person? Select opposite sex husband, wife, or spouse, opposite sex unmarried partner, same sex husband, wife, or spouse, same sex unmarried partner, biological son or daughter, adopted son or daughter, stepson or stepdaughter, brother or sister, father or mother, grandchild, parent-in-law, son-in-law or daughter-in-law, other relative, roommate or housemate, foster child, or other non-relative. We're almost finished. Some people live or stay in more than one place, and we need to make sure everyone is only counted once. Select the name of anyone who usually lives or stays somewhere else. Otherwise, choose none of the above. If a person does usually live or stay somewhere else, select the reason why from the following. to be with a parent, grandparent, or other person, to attend college, for military assignment, to be closer to a job or business, in a nursing home or group home, in a jail or prison, at a seasonal or second residence, or for another reason. Great job. You are now ready to send your responses. Select Submit Questionnaire to complete the 2020 census. You will see a confirmation page with your address and today's date. That's it. You have completed the 2020 census online.
Okay, awesome. So for those, and one caveat that I forgot to make, and I know this to be true, is that every participant on this line within this meeting has indeed completed their 2020 census. We know that to be true. So thank you for participating. We are getting ready to segue into the Q&A phase. We shared this particular slide prior, but we're sharing it again. There are indeed 3 ways to complete the 2020 census. As you heard in an earlier presentation recorded by the U.S. Census Bureau, this is the first time that the census can be completed online, so it can conveniently be accessed at my2020census.gov. There's also the by phone. I believe Mr. Watson, John Watson from the state, was mentioning the importance of individuals to understand that there are other options to online. So the telephone number is there, and then also for the paper copies, you can call to request the paper copy. And for those who hadn't responded by online via the Selfresponse online by May 4th, which of course we've passed that date, would be receiving a paper copy in the mail. So now we'll turn it over for Q&A. This is from Dan. He asked, could links to some of the videos and some of the images and charts be emailed out to participant lists for the webinar? Absolutely. The information and the content shared is available for everyone's utilization. I do agree that it will be helpful to ensure that we push it out through both our personal and professional networks via social media and other platforms. Stephanie just asked if this presentation was recorded. Yes, and we definitely recognize the many bloopers throughout. We appreciate everyone's patience and support, as this is our first 2020 Census virtual meeting. We promise that we'll get better, even when we do resume back to what may be semi-normal activities. So yes, this definitely was recorded, and we will, once it's been edited, we will make it available for everyone. Sonia asked, is there any guidance on how college students should complete their census who decided to relocate home permanently due to the pandemic? Ruben, we'd be interested in knowing your feedback, but before you comment, one thing that I would offer is that during these unprecedented times, we definitely understand that, many individuals either were, forced to go home, when they were on spring break and to stay home, or just had to leave. And I'm not 100% certain, but I do know that there are students who did indeed stay on campus. And our response is, considering both where you're from, your home residence, if you will, as well as your home away from home, which would be your university or school residence, it's really critical that we capture both. The reason being is because both resources are being utilized. You're utilizing resources when you are, whether it's your parents or, your guardian or whomever, and then you're also utilizing the resources, that are near or within your school. And I think that there are some things that individuals may not realize. They may think that, it's maybe covered in tuition, or some other means, but it is indeed important to note that, when you're accessing the grocery stores, the gas stations, driving on the roadways, that you are ultimately utilizing the resources of that particular community. And so to ensure that we can continue to provide and enhance, we need to know who we are serving. So I'll pause there, Ruben, for you to provide additional feedback.
Right. So I think the census asked, or I don't think it asked, but if you are a college student and you aren't if you're living on a dorm, for example, you would put that as where you are staying. And I think the census asks, as of April 1st, where is your residence? So I think with this pandemic, I guess determining on when that student, moved before or after the first, I guess that's how you would determine what address that student would put. But I think the census also asks where they would stay for the majority of the year. So, if in the fall coming back, if that student's going to move back into the dorm, if that college accepts it, I think they should stick with the address of that dorm they were staying in on April 1st. I think that's the best way I can put it, with what's going on.
There was another question: what can community organizations continue to do to help promote the 2020 census to the hard-to-count communities? Excellent question. So one way is, once this video has been blooper-free, we will share it with you to pass along to others who want to know, well, what is the census really? Why is it important? Who have questions about, is it really safe? Are you sure my information will be protected? And most importantly, for individuals to be able to hear from their peers, hear from their neighbors, hear from their colleagues who reside throughout the county, to really have a true understanding about the importance of the census. We all know that word of mouth is the best form of advertisement. Other ways, obviously, would be to promote on your various social media platforms. We have, as we showed some earlier, the census advertisements. We will share that with individuals for you to be able to repost on your social media ads, or just via text message as well. We encourage individuals to call a friend, call a neighbor, ask them, have they completed the 2020 census? And if they respond no, ask them why. There may be an opportunity for you to educate them on some things that either they've been misinformed, or maybe they just didn't have an idea to begin with. We also have promotional materials. I don't know if anyone noticed, but we finally got our census tees. So we now have census T-shirts available for participants on this call, our Complete Count Committee members, and others. We also have other promotional materials. Udo mentioned earlier, we have our census handbills. We have them in many different languages, including Spanish, French, Chinese, and several others. It's just it's a two-sided handbill that just talks about what the allocations are utilized for: education, public safety. It talks about the privacy. It talks about how to respond. And then it talks about our community specifically. As we illustrated earlier, our population is definitely growing. 25% are our seniors. And when we think about quality of life, we want to make sure that it is very, very, very much indeed the best. And when we think about our children, we definitely want to make sure that our schools, we have the right resources, our recs and parks facilities, that we have the right resources. And then we also are working on a script for individuals to be able to utilize throughout their various nonprofits and organizations to call your members, as well as other community members or partners and residents, where you have an opportunity to promote your business or organization, and also talk about how the census plays into the success of the mission and goals of whatever your respective organization is.
Hey, it's John. So just to clarify again on the college students, so if they live in an on-campus dorm, they will get counted in the group quarters that So they automatically get counted. And then for the off-campus students, it is where they would spend the majority of their time. So they obviously are on campus, living on off-campus housing 8 months out of the year, out of 12 normally. So the COVID thing is kind of an exception. Definitely would want every off-campus college student, irregardless of where they were on April 1st, we want every one of them to be counted in Baltimore County.
Okay, great. And thank you all for your time, your participation. Again, we definitely send heartfelt thoughts to each of you for your safety and well-being, as well as all of those who you may know. We will indeed get through these challenging times. And, as you learned or may have, heard again, when we think about the vaccinations, should there be a vaccination for COVID? How do you determine how many a specific community receives? It would definitely be based on census data, as well as hospital beds, hospital gowns, and other information. A good question that also came through was the gift certificate. How could we forget? So just going back through the initial guidance, in order to be entered into the drawing, participants had to participate throughout the duration of the call. Winners will be notified within 5 business days upon conclusion of today's meeting. Please make sure, which I'm pretty positive everyone did, provided a valid email address for you to be contacted. So we will indeed be honoring that. So thank you for that friendly reminder.
Thank you so much for all your participation thus far. Baltimore County counts are very good. They're going in the right direction, but like I said, we do know that we both have a real pocket that we do need to work on. Just to reiterate about the colleges, yes, correct. College students should be counting themselves at the college, where they was at for the college. Also, we have recorded, like John said, where we will be taking that admin records of the students. A lot of colleges have already gone through that process. Some of them we have to actually go back into and do that process. So they will be counted, and the outskirts, people that are living outside of the colleges or off-campus housing, once our operational functions come back up to play, they'll be counted through our enumerating process, our NARPU process as well. But once again, thank you. We also have that information listed on our website and flyers to help advise college students as to how to be counted during this time. Thank you, Savitra.
No problem. And one more question for you.
And I'll share that link with you, too. I think I sent that link with the flyer, or how to actually respond to college students for all the partners to be able to view that in the talking points on there as well. What was the other question?
So when will census enumerators begin visiting homes that have not completed their census questionnaire?
So for that operation, and once again, and I like to tell people this also, things are constantly changing. So we have to understand that we might have one date right now, totally different date might happen next week. It also all depends on when Maryland will either open up, and I know we're going through phases right now, so we have to abide by those guidelines as well. But for right now, our enumeration phase is going to be back up. I just want to make sure that I note that properly. It's August 11th through October 31st. Now, the thing with that is right now with us opening back up, it might go up. It's not going to go any lower than August 11th, but it might go up. But right now it's from August 11th through October 31st. Our operational adjustment phases are also listed on our website. So anybody and everybody can actually view our current updated schedule online.
And one last question for you. So I know we talked about this a little earlier about the paper materials being sent to community residents who don't respond? And is it correct that they have already started receiving them?
Yes. Yes. The third phase, the part that they should be receiving their paper copy in the mail, yes, they have received them already. And if anybody hasn't received that, let me know. And I could also contact our ACO, and they can actually view that area or that resident to see whether or not they received it or not. And there's also the 1-800 number that they can contact as well.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you all again. You all have been great. One last thing that I want to mention is that the best way to get in contact with us is through the 2020 census at baltimorecountymd.gov email address. All right, thanks everyone. Stay safe.